Headlines, highlights, the questions burning up the sports world get answered right here. This isn't just another recap, it's the Sports Answer. And leading the charge, sharp, fearless, and always bringing the edge, your host, Rudy Campos Jr. If you're talking sports, you better have the Sports Answer.
Hey, good Sunday morning, Sports Answer fans. Rudy Campos Jr. Of course, for the Sports Answer, you've got those burning sports questions. We've got the Sports Answer proudly brought to you by Salem Surround, 210-526-3635, or go to salemsurround.com/San Antonio to get your digital marketing needs done today. We're going to be talking about All-Star, and if you want to be an All-Star of a company, you contact Salem Surround. Again, 210-526-3635. That is Salem Surround. Proud sponsors of us here at the Sports Answer. What do we got today? Well, NFL season has come to a close. We're going to have NFL offseason talk. We got the draft coming up here in a couple of months. MLB getting ready to get started here. First pitch here is in a month or so, I believe. So we still have some time. Pitchers and catchers are already reporting, so we're going to get some MLB talk here, maybe give you a little bit of a season preview here in the next few shows. But it's All-Star weekend right now for the NBA. Not so much the halfway point, as Detroit's already played 50 plus games on the season, so we know the halfway point is 41 games into the season. A lot of these teams are already well over that. So nonetheless, it's an All-Star break, and it kicked off with All-Star Saturday night. The return of Dame time. Dame Lillard had not stepped on an NBA court all season long. He comes out on All-Star Saturday night, gets the W. We saw local guys, Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper, participate in All-Star Saturday night as well. Carter Bryant ended up getting second in the slam dunk contest. We'll get into that here briefly, as well as Dylan Harper teaming up with his brother, Ron Harper Jr., and his dad, Ron Harper, in the shooting competition, and they didn't quite get it done, but shout out to the Harpers there. But nonetheless, it is All-Star Saturday night, and as you can tell, graphic brought to you by Bleacher Report. Shout out to Bleacher Report for this. And Dame Lillard had not touched an NBA court all season. Obviously, he's been out with torn ACL, and he gets it done. I mean, steps on the court, gets the three-point contest, becomes winner, becomes a three-time champion, joining Larry Bird and Craig Hodges, going way back in the day. I'm sure everybody's heard of Larry Bird. I don't know if a lot of people have heard of Craig Hodges, but Hodges was on fire from way back when, man. So was Larry Bird. But again, three-time champion Dame Lillard joins those two guys, and what a performance. You're talking about the first round. I actually took Con Knipple to win the three-point contest, and Con was the first one to shoot for the evening. I felt really good. Finished with 27 points as the first shooter out the gates. Dame came in. He scored 27 that first half, that first round as well. Devin Booker, he took the lead over both of them, 30 points in that first round. Nonetheless, those three guys went into the finals. I think Knipple ended up with like 17, and Dame ended up with 29. Let's paint the picture here. Devin Booker started off extremely hot in that final round. All he had to do was make the last two money balls on his last rack to take the victory. Missed the fourth. Fifth one coming up, needs it to tie Dame Lillard and go into a shootout. Missed it. As hot as Devin Booker was to start that round, he ended extremely cold, giving Dame Lillard the championship here in the three-point contest. Again, making him the three-point champion. Congratulations, Dame Lillard. Let's get into the slam dunk contest. We talked about Carter Bryant being part of the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, came out really strong. Windmill dunk. I mean, he had some really impressive dunks. Nonetheless, I mean, you go into the very last dunk, and all he needed was, I believe, a 47.4 tried to go between his leg off the backboard, reverse dunk, attempted it twice, missed both times. Time was running out. Did a basic 360 dunk. Did not give him enough points. Keshad Johnson from Miami ended up taking the victory. And again, when we talk about the dunk contest, it's like I talked to a friend of mine earlier in the day, and I said, the dunk contest is always hit or miss. It's been more miss than anything these last few years. Mac McClung has done a fantastic job of revitalizing and rejuvenating the dunk contest, but he was not a participant this year. We saw the likes of Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. Those were some really good dunk contests. I'll go back into the day even further. I mean, you're talking Desmond Mason and Jason Richardson. That was a really good dunk contest. I remember even way back when you had one dunker, from time to time that would just come in. Harold Miner is one to, remember he's calling Baby Jordan from back in the day. You saw Spud Webb way back in the 80s, obviously, when he won the dunk contest when it was in Dallas. You saw players coming in, and this dunk contest, I think it was promising. Jace Richardson, I really loved this first dunk. He collapsed on that second dunk. I mean, I don't know why you were trying to go so hard on that and trying to get on that. It was the difficulty was there. It was difficult, it was there. But Carter Bryant, I think, did a remarkable job for representing the San Antonio Spurs and for the dunk contest. Everything looked fluid. Loved everything that he did. It sucked that he didn't get the job done at the end and bring home a trophy to San Antonio, a dunk contest trophy to San Antonio. I get what he was doing. You got to make an impact. You've got to make a statement dunk because 47.4, as low as it kind of sounds when it comes to the judges, maybe a 360 windmill, which he ended up doing the very first dunk of the game. Reminiscence to Vince Carter when he did a 360 windmill, but it was a reverse 360. Same thing with Carter Bryant. Adding a little more flair to it, he probably would have been able to get at least a 48, bringing home that trophy, but ran out of time. Keshad Johnson ended up winning the slam dunk contest out of Miami. And oh man, the one thing I was hoping for was to see Ron Harper and the boys win the shooting contest, and that didn't quite happen. It ended up being the team from New York, the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. They ended up winning the shooting competition. I'm glad they got rid of the skills competition. You saw what happened last year with Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul, so I understand why they got rid of it. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Basically, is what it is, and they were pretty much cheating in a way. I mean, they didn't cheat the rules; they just kind of bent them a little bit, and they got caught for it, and they got called out for it. Nonetheless, I mean, I love the shooting competition. To me, overall, this All-Star Saturday night, I think for me was a little bit better. It's on the right path. I like what I saw out of it. One thing I've always talked about, if I had to bring something back from way back in the day, we used to see what's called the Legends game. They would play, 4 quarters, and I think it was maybe 8-minute quarters. It wasn't a whole lot, but you saw the NBA legends from way back when. Now, at that time, you're talking, the likes of Hot Rod Hundley. You're talking the likes of, John Lucas, I believe, was in the part of that game. Calvin Murphy dominated one of those games. I mean, there was a lot of good things to see when it came to the old guys playing basketball. Now, I'm not saying, bring out the guys that are in their 70s and 60s or anything like that, but you've got a lot of retired NBA players who will still get up and down the court. And remember, these games were not, fast break by any means or anything, but to see the likes of, the most recent guys, a Tracy McGrady, a Vince Carter, something like that, get these guys on the court, just kind of going, half pace basically. That would be fun to bring the old timer game. We call the old timers game from back then, but it isn't necessarily old time like they're not in their 60s and all that stuff like they kind of were back in the day. But for me, that was always fun. What that did for me as a kid was it always piqued my interest to look deep into more NBA history and to look at the players from the past. Growing up, I was blessed to be around the NBA All-Star Weekend. and seeing these old timers play and just hearing their names going back. Bobby Jones was one that played in a lot of these games as well. And I remember watching Bobby Jones, and it was just like, man, I got to do my research on Bobby Jones, and that's what always got me more. It got me more intrigued, got me closer to the game because I was able to do my research. I was able to look up a lot of these guys. I was able to talk to people that watched the NBA, people that covered the NBA from way back when. I would talk to them from time to time. My dad would always talk about players like JoJo White and certain players from past NBA, past NBA. So I think bringing back the old timers game in some sense would be beneficial for the league. It allows the younger generation to get to know players that maybe they had never heard of, maybe that, they watch. Because for me, I had never heard of Calvin Murphy. I remember one year, I want to say it was the All-Star game in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I just remember Calvin Murphy going bonkers on that game. And I'm like, who is this guy? Talking to people, I kind of found out, hey, Calvin Murphy's was one of the greatest Rockets, man, greatest players there. So doing the research, it brought more intriguing to me, and I loved it very much. So NBA, if you're doing anything, bring back the old timers game. Not so much, like I said, the old guys, but the more recently guys like Allen Iverson, stuff like that. Bring some of those guys. You can even bring back guys from early 2000s if you wanted. Some of these guys who might still be willing to lace them up and just play kind of a small pickup game. Nothing too hardcore or anything like that. But congratulations to all the winners from All-Star Saturday Night. That's Kashad Johnson, team New York Knicks, and also Dame Lillard, who is a 3-time NBA champ. What do we got going today? Well, later on today, you have the actual NBA All-Star game. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, and SGA. All three guys are going to be out for the All-Star game. Now, De'Aaron Fox is a replacement. We talked a while back last week, actually, about how the Spurs do not have a second representative. Kind of bad because you're talking about the second best team in the Western Conference, third best team overall, potentially probably a number one seed if the Spurs continue on and SGA is going to be out for an extended period of time. Could see Oklahoma City falter a little bit there. So kind of concerning that the Spurs did not have another representative outside of Victor Wembanyama and also outside of Mitch Johnson and the coaching staff. Could have used another player. Adam Silver came through, ended up putting De'Aaron Fox as an all-star. Shout out to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. I did a show with him a few weeks back, and we talked about who would be more deserving to get an all-star nod and who was snubbed from the Spurs. Jeff took Stephon Castle, which again, there are people out there, and there's not many, but me included, I've said it many times before. I feel like Stephon Castle is the best player on the roster. No disrespect to Victor Wembanyama. I love Wemby 100%. He has the potential to be generational. I am not saying he's generational, but he has the potential to be generational. But at the same time, I think Stephon Castle's ceiling is just a little bit higher. That's just my own personal opinion. I've talked, to Derek Irvin. Derek Irvin's kind of made the same statement as well with me. Says, yeah, Stephon has a little bit higher of a ceiling. So nonetheless, Jeff took Stephon Castle. My case was for De'Aaron Fox. And lo and behold, De'Aaron Fox does get the nod. He is going to be replacing Giannis Antetokounmpo, which means Norman Powell is now going to the international squad. SGA is also going to be out. Shea Gilchrist-Alexander, he's going to be out, as well as Steph Curry. You've also got the replacements that ended up coming in for a lot of these guys here. And one of the replacements was Brandon Ingram. He's stepping in for Steph Curry, who is out for the NBA All-Star game. And also you have Alperen Şengün, who's going to be replacing SGA for the international team. So again, you've got two players in the Houston Rockets. That was Şengün and Kevin Durant. LeBron and Luka for the Lakers. SGA and Chet Holmgren were going to be for Oklahoma City. And now you've got two Spurs in there and Victor Wembanyama as well as De'Aaron Fox. Who do you guys have winning out there? I mean, if you're looking at the rosters, which I'm looking at right now, Team World, I'm not so sure Team World. I mean, I love Luca and Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Şengün, Wemby. I mean, they've got a really good stacked squad when it comes to height. But I can't lie. I kind of like a little bit. I kind of like Team USA Stripes. I mean, for me, USA Stars is going to be coached by JB Bickerstaff. You're looking Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, Devin Booker, Jalen Duren, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Johnson, Chet Holmgren, and Tyrese Maxey. Well balanced team. I think they could make some noise. I like the well balanced team there. The USA Stripes coached by Coach Mitch Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs, Jalen Brown, Kevin Durant, Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, Brandon Ingram, Kawhi Leonard, and Donovan Mitchell. I think the USA Stripes are are going to be your champions. They're going to be your all-star game champions there. Getting the MVP there. I mean, from that squad alone, can we say possibly Kawhi Leonard? I mean, the guy has been playing like MVP basketball this season. I mean, we're getting the best of Kawhi Leonard. I know it's in Los Angeles. You know what? If this is LeBron's last NBA All-Star game, you may see the whole crowd and everybody say, "Well, we need to give LeBron, 40 points and he needs to get that NBA All-Star game MVP." Throw all that out the window. I mean, I would like to see Kawhi Leonard win MVP. Yes, it is in Los Angeles. It is in the Intuit Dome here, Intuit Arena where the Clippers play, and the guy has been balling out. I mean, I get it. You've got the state of what happened in the offseason with the contract and all the other stuff going on. But if there's a player from this squad, this loaded USA Stripes squad coached by Mitch Johnson, that I am circling, I think it's going to be Kawhi Leonard. He's just going to continue to me play at that level that we've seen him playing recently. So give me USA Stripes to win this competition, this All-Star game, and I'll take Kawhi Leonard as my All-Star MVP. Who do you have as All-Star MVP? Nonetheless, also, who do you have winning this NBA All-Star game? Drop that comment below. Go to Answer Now TV on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button where you can get the sports answer every single Sunday. It's myself. We've got a lot of content with myself and other guys coming up here on the sports answer to drop more knowledge for you guys. Baseball, MLB. We've got an MLB guy coming up here. We've got NFL talk, NFL draft right around the corner. We've got more NBA coverage for you as well. So you do not want to miss it on the sports answer part of Answer Now TV. When we get back, we ask the question, NBA tanking, is there a concern behind it? Also, we definitely have your Spurs Chisme here. First, let's get a quick commercial break from our partners and sponsors over at Salem Surround, 210-526-3635.
In San Antonio, your business deserves more than noise. It deserves to be seen. SEO, social media, digital ads. If you're not showing up, you're losing customers. At Salem Surround San Antonio, we design digital strategies that work, from web design and SEO to social, podcast, and display ads. Real tools. Real results. Let's amplify your brand. Start today with a free digital presence evaluation. Salem Surround San Antonio, your brand, everywhere it matters.
All right, welcome back to the Sports Answer. Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. Contact them today to get your brand to the top of the mountain, guaranteed by Salem Surround. They're going to do everything within their power to make your brand number one. 210-526-3635. SalemSurround.com/San Antonio. Contact them today. NBA basketball talk. Now, one of the biggest topics going into the All-Star weekend and State of the Union address by Adam Silver when it comes to the NBA, a lot of talk beforehand and going into the All-Star game was around tanking. Now, for those who don't know, the Utah Jazz were fined, as well as the Indiana Pacers were fined for basically resting players when they had the opportunity to win. Prime example, Utah was up on Orlando going into the fourth quarter. They didn't play their starters, Jeremy Jackson Jr., Larry Markkinen. They didn't play him at all in the fourth quarter. Orlando ended up coming back to beat the Utah Jazz. And it was just a bad look for Utah. I mean, they were up. I want to say they were up big going into that fourth quarter, and then they just basically blew the lead. Didn't worry about winning the game. Why? Oklahoma City owns that first round pick if it falls below a certain number. So, in essence, OKC wants Utah to win, but Utah wants to lose so they can keep that lottery pick and keep it away from Oklahoma City. Complaints were made by teams a la OKC complaining to the NBA office saying, hey, this is ridiculous. But shout out to Justin Termini out there, NBA Sirius Radio, Sirius XM NBA Radio. I get where Justin's coming from. And it's not a knock on anybody, when you say teams like OKC. He brought up the Al Horford deal when they told Al Horford to just go home so they could keep their pick. He talks about the likes of the San Antonio Spurs, tanking for Victor Wembanyama, tanking for the likes of Tim Duncan. Now, the Tim Duncan thing, I will say, okay, Robinson, if you have a healthy David Robinson, a healthy Sean Elliott, that team stays healthy, they're probably not winning the Tim Duncan sweepstakes because that's definitely not a team that is going to be lottery bound. But when you had David out for the year, Sean Elliott was out for the year or majority of the year, that team was just bad. It was just a bad team. Dominique Wilkins, already at the end of his career, was the leading scorer for the San Antonio Spurs that year. So to say they tanked for Tim Duncan, no, that team was just literally bad. But we did mention this on another show when we said Pop isn't Pop, and he's not getting those titles without Timmy, without any of that, Timmy and David and all that stuff. But we're not going to get on that rant. We can do that rant later on. But Termini's right. You can't be okay with teams like OKC in past years basically tanking for, to get certain players in their lottery. You can't blame the Spurs for quote unquote tanking to get, Victor Wembanyama, trading away all their best players and just taking games away. You can't blame Utah for doing the exact same thing those teams did and turn their seasons around. Now, for Spurs, we're just seeing it this year. We're seeing the Spurs turn it around this season. But again, is it wrong to tank? I mean, the Jazz have put themselves in a great position by getting Jeremy Jackson Jr. They're able to keep Larry Markkinen. They've got Ace Bailey, Walker Kessler, George. I mean, they've got a nice little squad. They feel that one extra piece is a top 4 pick. If you had to get rid of tanking, how would you do it? Me, I think one way I would do it is it revolves around the pick, the protected picks. So, for example, OKC has a protected pick. Utah trades the pick to OKC. OKC's banking on that pick to fall within, between 10 and below, 9 and below, 9 and 30. Utah says if it's top 8 protected. Okay. OKC's all right, you know what? We'll do that. Now, this is where I feel tanking might be able to not necessarily go away, but may not happen as often. If you get a 2026 protected first round, top 8 protected, and you're OKC, and Utah's like, we're gonna tank basically. So OKC loses that pick because it's not going to fall out of the top 8. Well, the league needs to do is, okay, if you get a protected pick in 2026, then no matter where the Jazz fall in the first round of 2027, that pick is OKC's. It's unprotected. So in essence, your protected pick becomes unprotected the following year. no matter what. So if Utah has a top 4 pick this year, and it's like, okay, cool. They went out and got, Cameron Boozer. Say that they have a lot of injuries and they're one of the worst teams again. They get the second pick in 2027. Sorry, Jazz. That goes straight to OKC because it's unprotected. That to me is one way of possibly doing this where you don't have a lot of teams taking. But who knows how this is going to get fixed? Personally, you've got to tank in some instances to get your team to be better. I mean, we see it all the time. I don't like it as a fan. You don't want to pay tickets to go watch a team when you don't get their best players or you don't get 100% play of the best players. They get 2 quarters. Nothing wrong with them. They're sitting for rest or they play 2 quarters. They're not going to play anymore. It basically screws the fans over. Something's got to be done. Is it wrong? It's not wrong. I've seen it for many years. It's not a big deal to me. What would you guys do out there? That's our burning sports question for Sports Answer fans out there. What would you guys do? Spurs Chisme up.
So, like, I hear about the Spurs this y Spurs that, y como que esto y esta, pero I never hear about the real Spurs chisme. Dime, por favor.
All right, as you can see, we talked about it again. Jeremy Sochan was not traded at the trade deadline. We mentioned he's more than likely going to be bought out, and that's exactly kind of what happened. Spurs parted ways with Jeremy Sochan, and as soon as he cleared the waivers, the New York Knicks, the one place that we had pretty much said he was going to go was to New York. That was his top spot to go to. They ended up picking him up. Shout out to Gersh Sports out there for the graphic. It does look like he's going to be wearing number 20 for the New York Knicks. So, congratulations, Jeremy, out there. It just didn't work out in San Antonio. No harm done. I've seen some people on social media talking about, well, he didn't thank Mitch Johnson. He thanked Spurs organization. He thanked Coach Pop, but there was no mention of thanks to Mitch Johnson or anybody like that on this staff. I don't know if there's bad blood there or not. Nonetheless, Jeremy, he might fit in very well with the Knicks. They could use some help up there, especially since they were able to trade Yabusele as well. So, I mean, Jeremy could benefit really well from playing with the guys up in New York. Then his style may fit their system a lot better. Just didn't work out here in San Antonio. Wish Jeremy the absolute best of luck. Our fan question does come to us from Jeff P. from Reno, Nevada. He says, is Shaq serious when he said the San Antonio Spurs will beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals? For those y'all out there, the Chisme does have it, and it says that Shaq did tell the crew on live TV, take note, I have the San Antonio Spurs beating the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. He feels that they will both be in the Western Conference Finals, and he's got the Spurs beating the Thunder. So we asked, dominate the West. Can it be done this season? Now, preseason, all that, I said the Spurs would probably be 44 wins. I said, you know what? To me, the high that they would get to at the highest point would be the sixth seed. Guaranteed play-in spot. But if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to be a 6th seed. That's where I had them. Well, they're making me eat my words, and everybody else out there eat their words as well, as they are 2nd in the West. They are literally biting the heels of Oklahoma City right now. And I see where Shaq's coming from. This Spurs team, a healthy Spurs roster with no injury concerns, is a very dominant from top to bottom and one of the most depth rosters that you can find in the league. They've got a very deep roster in San Antonio. Literally, if you look it up and down, they've got about 9 guys that they can play at any point of the game. And I'm talking about another guy like Kelly Olynyk, who doesn't get a whole lot of run, but with the experience that Kelly Olynyk has and the toughness that he brings, you can go 10 deep on this Spurs roster. You cannot say that for teams like Minnesota. Houston still without a point guard. You can't say that about them. The Lakers, no. OKC, you can. But OKC is going through that injury bug right now. Again, the SGA injury is going to really haunt them for a while. Teams like, Golden State, no. The Phoenix Suns have been giving the Spurs a ton of trouble this year. But I think in a 7-game playoff series, the Spurs are a better team when they are healthy. The Denver Nuggets are the one team that do scare me, but I really feel that the Spurs are that much deeper than Denver. And Denver, they loaded in the offseason. Denver's my pick, preseason, before preseason and offseason. I had Denver, once all the moves were made, as my NBA champions this year. Watch out for the Nuggets in this second part of the season. But I think if there's a team out west that would give the Spurs the fits, it's going to be the Denver Nuggets. I think the Spurs are pretty much in sync, if not better than OKC. The record's really not fooling me. It really is not fooling me that much. OKC is not as dominant as they were last season. They started off hot. They started off like they were going to be. They're not as dominant as they were last season. Mitch Johnson has the Spurs playing at a supreme level right now. So yes, when Shaq says, are we serious? When you ask that question, are you serious about when Shaq said that they can beat the OKC in the Western Conference Finals? Absolutely, yes. The Spurs can definitely do it this season. Will it happen? That remains to be seen. That definitely does remain to be seen. But that's why they play the games. And that's why I have this team going all the way to the Western Conference Finals now. Appreciate everybody joining us here on the Sports Answer. Again, Salem Surround, 210-526-3635, salemsurround.com/San Antonio. That they're going to put you number one. You are guaranteed to be the best in the business if you are using Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. Proud sponsors of us here at the Sports Answer. You guys enjoy the NBA All-Star Game if you're going to watch it. Shout out to Coach Mitch Johnson, the coaching staff. You guys have done an amazing job. Again, I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to stress this. I had said in the preseason about Mitch Johnson, you put together probably one, if not the best coaching staffs in all of the league. Those hires, the guys that you have in their positions, phenomenal job, and it is showing right now why I said that and I made that declaration preseason when it was all ready to go. You guys are doing fantastic. Shout out to Wemby. Shout out to Darren Fox. Both All-Stars are going to be playing later on today. And again, shout out to the guys that participated in the All-Star competitions. Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle was another one. I mean, you guys had an amazing weekend. Can't wait for the second half of the basketball season to continue. MLB talk is going to be coming up very, very fast. I mean, we got the MLB season right around the corner. NFL draft is coming up here, so we'll do some more draft content for you guys out there. Again, be sure to go to Answer Now TV on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so you are not left without a sports answer to your burning questions. We'll see you guys later.
You've been listening to The Sports Answer with Rudy Campos Jr. Today's show was brought to you by Salem Surround San Antonio, helping local businesses grow with digital strategies that work. Visit salemsurround.com/San Antonio to learn more. We'll see you next time on The Sports Answer.